gives even more to others than to himself. Clothe him, therefore, with the mantle of your divine influence as he continues his life where the Spirit blows and fully becomes the person whom you wanted him to be. Turn also your loving gaze to the incoming Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Major General Palomado Pareño, Philippine Air Force. Under the impulse of your divine spirit, let him pursue the promptings of the highest desires of sustaining the transformation efforts and institutionalizing policies of this organization. In a special way, we pray for the Philippine Air Force. As you, Almighty Father, have granted divine assistance in the many recent notable campaigns of every airman and airwomen, keep them in the paces of your divine protection. Guide them in all their duties as guardians of our skies and bearers of hope. Finally, we implore your distinct benediction on the guest of honor and presiding officer, His Excellency President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., the Commander-in-Chief Armed Forces of the Philippines. Accord this presidency with your divine providence to restore faith and unity in every Filipino for the avenue to a future sufficiency. Let him find divine consolation in his spiritual acquaintance as he commands the defense sector to uphold the sovereignty of the nation, through which every Filipino takes delight in inclusive opportunities and sustainable comfort. With your Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the Philippine Air Force Change of Command and Retirement Ceremony in honor of Lieutenant General Connor Anthony David Canlas Sr., Philippine Air Force.
At this point, we shall now proceed to the presentation of award to the outgoing Commanding General, Philippine Air Force.
May we invite Lieutenant General Canlas Sr., PAF, to proceed in front for the presentation of award.
May we request Colonel Bernardo R. Fortes Jr., Philippine Army, the Adjutant General, to read the citation of award.
Republic of the Philippines, Department of National Defense, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders Number 1829, published on 19 December 2022. Award to the Philippine Legion of Honor, degree of Commander. By direction of the President, pursuant to paragraph 2A, 2B, section 1-2, Chapter 1, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Regulations G131-054, dated 26 June 2014, the Philippine Legion of Honor in the degree of Commander is hereby awarded to Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr., Officer Dash 10055, Philippine Air Force, for exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service as the 38th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force from 7 December 2021 to 20 December 2022. Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. fulfilled his mandate through the command framework, leadership and management, infrastructure and bases, people, capability and well-being, air assets and prime equipment, and doctrines and policies for performing, advancing, and fostering, or the so-called LIPAD PAF. Under his leadership, the Philippine Air Force strengthened its relations with the Filipino people through purposive civil-military operations in the stakeholders' engagement activities, intensified Philippine Air Force Task Force efforts to support the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict, supported the Interagency Task Force on Management of Emerging Infectious Disease, and facilitated the air transport of official ballot boxes and vote counting machines, and development of airmen to election precincts and hotspots that contributed to the peaceful and orderly conduct of national and local elections 2022. Under his direction, the Philippine Air Force recorded various accomplishments resulting from partnerships such as with the Department of Transportation and Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines for the transfer of Lumbia Development Project, with Luzon International Primer Development Corporation for the joint use of Clark International Airport, with Bases Conversion and Development Authority for the establishment of FedEx sorting facility at Clark Air Base, with the Department of Public Works and Highways for the completion of 22 tatag na infrastruktura para sa kapayapaan at seguridad projects, including the construction and renovation of Philippine Airforce moral and welfare facilities, with PILSCA and Ateneo School of Government for the advanced and practical training and education programs, and with foreign counterparts for the conduct of 71 international defense and security engagement activities, including the Republic of Korea Air Force Black Eagles Air Show. During his stint, the Philippine Air Force acquired several air assets and completed the Philippine Air Force Spider Air Defense System Simulator Training Center, formulated the Master Development Plan of 9 Philippine Air Force priority bases and air stations, and approved the Flight Plan 2040. Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. decisively employed air power during battle air interdiction and close air support missions in 63 joint operations that allowed AFP operating forces to launch tactical offensives. During the 75th founding anniversary, the command showcased its strength and resilience in fulfilling its mandate and expressed genuine concern for the families of fallen air crews, scholars, and medical or financial assistance beneficiaries with the fundraising fellowship activities. The Philippine Air Force also extended 4.5 million worth of ameliorative assistance to the 2,775 COVID-19 infected Philippine Air Force personnel. Further, the command attributed additional gender-responsive programs that led to the Philippine Air Force all-time high 6.4 billion pesos gender and development plan and budget in calendar year 2022. Attained a 100% compliance to the 888 Citizens Complaint and Center ng Bayan, and obtained an unmodified opinion from the Commission on Audit. By these achievements, Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. earned the respect and admiration of the Philippine government and the Filipino people. By order of the Secretary of National Defense, Bartolome Vicente Orpilla Bacaro, Lieutenant General Philippine Army Chief of Staff, Official Bernardo R. Fortes Jr., Colonel Philippine Army, Master in National Security Administration, the Adjutant General.
Thank you, sir.
May we request our presiding officer, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., to confer the award. He will be assisted by the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel AJ1, Brigadier General Romel P. Roldan, Philippine Air Force, and Mrs. Mary Grace P. Canlas.
Thank you, sirs and ma'am. We shall now proceed to the PAF Change of Command ceremony.
May we request the Adjutant General to read the relief and designation orders of the outgoing and incoming Commanding General, Philippine Air Force.
General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders Number 1835, published on 20 December 2022. Section 1, Termination, Designation of Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas, Sr., Officer +1 0055 Philippine Air Force, as Commanding General Philippine Air Force is terminated, effective 20 December 2022. Section 2, Designation. Major General Stephen P. Pareño, Officer +1 0486 Philippine Air Force, is designated as Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, effective 20 December 2022. By command of Lieutenant General Bacaro, Romel Anthony Santo Domingo Reyes, Vice Admiral, Philippine Navy, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Official Bernardo R. Fortes Jr., Colonel Philippine Army, Master in National Security Administration, the Adjutant General.
Thank you, sir.
May we request the outgoing Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, to read and sign his relinquishment order.
Armed Forces of the Philippines, Headquarters, Philippine Air Force, Office of the Commanding General, Colonel Jesus Villamor, Air Base, Pasay City. Office Order Number 2022-08, dated 20 December 2022. Pursuant to Section 1, Paragraph 1, General Orders Number 1835, Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, dated 20 December 2022. I hereby relinquish the position of the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, effective 20 December 2022, and I sign in your presence.
May we request Major General Stephen P. Pareño, Philippine Air Force, the incoming Commanding General PAF, to read and sign his assumption order.
Armed Forces of the Philippines, Headquarters, Philippine Air Force, Office of the Commanding General, Colonel Jesus Villamor, Air Base, Pasay City. Dated 20 December 2022. Office Order Number 2022-09. Assumption of Position. Pursuant to Section 2, Paragraph 2, General Orders Number 1835, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, dated 20 December 2022. I hereby assume the position as the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, effective 20 December 2022, and I sign in your presence.
We shall now witness the handover of command symbol to be presided by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
The handover of command symbol signifies that Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. has now relinquished his duties and responsibilities as the Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force and has now been turned over to Major General Stephen P. Pareño, PAF. Congratulations to the newly appointed Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Major General Stephen P. Pareño, Philippine Air Force.
Thank you, sir. At this point, we invite the newly appointed Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Major General Stephen P. Pareño, PAF, to deliver his remarks. May we request the newly appointed Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Major General Stephen P. Pareño, sir, to deliver your remarks.
Let me first greet our presiding officer, His Excellency Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr., the outgoing Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, and his lady, Ma'am Grace, and the members of his family. Let me also greet our guests who are physically present. The Senior Undersecretary Jose Faustino Jr., Officer in charge of the Department of National Defense. Sir. Lieutenant General Bartolome Vicente Bacaro, the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and his lady, Mrs. Soledad Bacaro. The Coast Guard Admiral Artemio Abu, the Commandant, Philippine Coast Guard. Lieutenant General Romeo Browner Jr., the Commanding General, Philippine Army, and His Lady, Mrs. Melody Bronner. Rear Admiral Toribio Adasi Jr., the Flag Officer in Command, Philippine Navy. Police Lieutenant General Rodel Sermonia, the Deputy Chief for Administration, Philippine National Police, representing Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr., the Chief Philippine National Police. The Commanding Generals, Philippine Air Force and their ladies, former Commanding Generals, Lieutenant General Loven Abadia, retired, the 20th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, and his lady, Ma'am Jenny Lynn Abadia, General Benjamin Defensor Jr., retired, the former Chief of Staff, AFP, and the 26th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, and Lady Ma'am Meg. Lieutenant General Nestor Santillan, retired, the 27th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force. Lieutenant General Pedrito Kadungog, the 30th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, and his lady, Ma'am Angie Kadungog. Lieutenant General Oscar H. Aravena, the 31st Commanding General, Philippine Air Force. Lieutenant General Edgar Falyurina, the 34th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, and his lady, Ma'am Erica. Lieutenant General Galileo Gerard Quintanar Jr., the 35th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force. Guests from the Malacanang Palace, guests from the General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, the members of the Foreign Armed Forces Attaché Corps, members of the PMA Sambisi class of 1991 and their ladies, please rise. Class. Thank you. The members of the Philippine Air Force Flying School class of 1993 Alpha and their ladies. Let me also greet the men and women of the Philippine Air Force, headed by Brigadier General Fabian Pedregosa, the Acting Chief of Air Staff, and his lady, Mrs. Vicky Pedregosa. The members of the Philippine Air Force Officers Ladies Central Club, headed by Mrs. Lailani Badaag, and the Philippine Air Force Enlisted Personnel Ladies Central Club, headed by Mrs. Kathleen Fabro. Other guests joining us virtually through Facebook Live, my wife, Agnes, and my children, Istvan, Kev, and Madrid, and the members of our family and personal guests. Please stand to be recognized. They include Attorney Peter Corvera and Dr. May Corvera, my friends, classmates. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today, as I assume my post as the 39th Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force, I feel very honored and elated for this rare privilege given to me. My thoughts and sentiments are rooted in the 7th verse of Psalm 28, which reads, "The Lord is my strength and my shield, in whom my heart trusted and found help. So my heart rejoices with my song, and I praise my God." As I accept the honor and the responsibility of the position, turning another chapter of my life, I can only say that I and my family have been generously blessed by God's grace. Looking back, I can't help but be grateful for God's wonderful design. This moment, this place where I am standing right now, used to be an unreachable summit. As a boy, I had never imagined that this day will ever come. I come from a simple family. My father was a farmer and my mother a teacher. Growing up, I had to contend with difficult circumstances, and the opportunities were few. But I found my hope in the skies. Looking up in the horizon, dreaming of becoming a pilot one day. Gratefully, I landed scholarships. They gave me an education and propelling me in the journey towards attaining my wings. When I was admitted into the Philippine Military Academy, everything fell into place and I felt God's hand moving in my life. I saw His plan for me, and now, more than 3 decades, He has elevated me to the apex, and I'm deeply moved and truly grateful. I would also like to thank those who have entrusted me this tremendous responsibility and honor. His Excellency President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the Honorable Senior Undersecretary Jose Kalingasan Faustino Jr., Secretary of National Defense, our Armed Forces Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Vicente Bartolome Bacaro, and the AFP Board of Generals. I am humbled and honored by your trust and confidence. To Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr., sir, our outgoing Commanding General, I would like to speak on behalf of the entire Philippine Air Force and express our deepest gratitude for fortifying the foundations of our organization in our quest for transformation towards becoming a more agile and dependable Air Force. Our debt to your leadership and vision is immeasurable. Thus, I resolve to build upon your legacy. I am also deeply touched and inspired by your generous words of congratulations and encouragement. Happy birthday, sir, and enjoy your well-earned retirement. Mindful of how I got here, my gratitude also goes to all those who have been instrumental in my climb to the top all these years. My superiors, mentors, peers, subordinates, and friends who have all contributed and brought me to this position, many of whom took real effort to be here with us in this momentous event, both physically and virtually. Let me recognize them. Of course, the former commanding generals and senior officers of the Philippine Air Force, whom I got the opportunity to work with and be mentored by. They are my role models who, in one way or another, contributed into shaping my professional profile. The likes of General Defensor, General Cadungog, General Reyes, General De La Cruz, General Delgado, General Fallerina, General Quintanar, General Brigues, General Paredes, and also the former Chief of Staff, General Oban, and the former Vice Chief of Staff, General Mison, and my former commander at 220th Airlift Wing, General Parilla. I would also like to thank my fraternal brethren in Freemasonry and International Order of the Malay. My amistad from the PMA class, Sambisig class of 1991, and the Sambisig Aviators. Thank you for all your moral support and sincere prayers through thick and thin. My classmates from the PAF Flying School Class 93 Alpha, which also includes our Commanding General, Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. Thank you for the camaraderie, friendship, and support all these years. My classmates at Central Philippine University Elementary and High School, thank you for the decades of friendship that helped shape my character. I also wish to thank my former mentors and co-workers in the service, from my instructors in all training institutions, including the flying school, to the ranks of non-commissioned officers and the files of civilian human resource, with whom I had the privilege of working. Hindi ko na kayo maisa-isa, hindi ko mararating ang kinatatayuan ko ngayon kung hindi dahil sa tulong at suporta nyo. Taos-puso akong nagpapasalamat sa inyong lahat. And at the center of my life, let me also acknowledge with love and affection my family, whose understanding and support have always been unconditional and unchanging. My ever-patient co-pilot in life, the beacon of our home, my wife, Agnes, and my very supportive children, Istvan and Kev, who are both accomplished pilots now, and my youngest and my only daughter, Madrid. My daughter-in-law, Pao, and my only granddaughter, Isabel. Also my brother Val and my other family members abroad who are joining us virtually through Facebook Live. Tito Raul, Tito Ines, Tita Ines, Tito Eddie and cousins and Nene Helen. I also pay tribute to my parents, the late Rolando and Teresita Pereño, whom I owe my life and what I am today. To my family, I assure you that as the new Commanding General of the Air Force, you have not lost me, but rather you have gained a bigger family of almost 20,000 airmen and airwomen. I assume this position with great pride and with even greater humility as the 39th Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force. I follow in a line of remarkable commanders who came before me, with some of them present in this hall. I am truly overwhelmed with honor, humility, and pride to stand and be counted among you. Sirs, I am well aware of the towering expectations of our top leaders, as well as our stakeholders and partners. Nonetheless, as I face high expectations and challenges in this critical position, I feel a great sense of confidence, knowing that we have here a capable and dedicated team who will work together towards attaining our noble goals. To our officers, enlisted personnel, and civilian human resource, I pledge to do all that I can, the best of my ability, the best leadership, direction, and example that I can muster. By this, you can expect that I will be an authentic leader. I will be a genuine, balanced, self-aware, and transparent leader and manager. Excellence will be my personal standard. Ethical behavior and core values will be at the anchor of my leadership philosophy. I will center my leadership around appropriate conduct of work through respect for ethics, spirituality, and our treasured core values, as well as the rights and dignity of others. Lastly, I will lead by example. Our true measure of success is not how much we promise, but how much we deliver for those who need us most. In turn, I expect that every member of our team will be accountable and responsible for all their actions. We should take active responsibility and don't always assume that it is someone else's job. Likewise, strengthen your commitment and elevate the quality of your work output. We should strive to achieve excellence in all we do. We should live by the culture of excellence, understand and communicate the organizational vision and mission, and develop mastery of your role to achieve our ends. And we should be efficient in work management and performance. We should carry out the most important mission essential tasks and programs in the right way without wasting time and effort as much as possible. Lastly, I expect that everyone should embody love of God, country, service, and family. May all your actions, decisions, and performance be guided by our faith and values. Selflessness and exemplifying God's virtues will allow us to passionately elevate the quality of our service and the strength of our family relationship. As I begin my tour of duty as your Commanding General, let me share my vision for this task. Our accomplishment this year, guided by the PAF Command Framework, have been truly impressive. Everyone helped achieve progress in the critical areas. And I intend to sustain the implementation and eventual completion of the PAF programs and initiatives for the next year. Relatedly, the flight plan will continue to set our long-term strategic direction as we transition from one horizon to another. Let us remember that we reform not to please others, but because we value what this institution stands for. We reform because we believe in the PAF's future. I take on this role at a crucial point of our history. We have a new leader, our dear President, guiding us in our shift to a new normal. As the PAF transition to the third horizon, it needs to further boost its current noble efforts to meet targets under the second horizon and clearly establish its direction and requirements for Horizon 3 and beyond. Moreover, as the potent nature and value of air power in responding to contemporary security threats and challenges are fast unraveling, the PAF needs to be equally fast in adapting to evolving requirements. And consequently, as we fly to our destination, the Air Force will now boost its speed and accelerate, and we will do so without compromising excellence and quality. The intent is to reach better results of our task performance, our organizational culture, and environment, and our capability and competence. We will therefore focus on improving our public value, accountability, good governance, and safety, and our force and capability development efforts. As I close, let me call on my fellow airmen and women to join me as we collectively reaffirm our commitment to serve, and let us continue to be open to changing mindsets, paradigm shifts, and evolving environment. Transformation will not happen in a snap. We will have to work hard and work together to achieve our common goals and aspirations. Let us actively respond to our Commander-in-Chief's call for unity. This is an imperative for us to help steward the Air Force towards our lofty goals and better serve our countrymen and our nation. Excellence, agility, and commitment to always do right for God and country. This will be our guidepost to success. Let us accelerate with excellence, Philippine Air Force. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Stay safe, and to God be all the glory.
Thank you, sir.
We shall now proceed to the retirement ceremony of Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas, Senior PAF. This ceremony is in recognition of his faithful and honorable military career. This as well is one of the oldest customs and traditions of the military service.
At this point, may we request the Adjutant General to read the retirement order of Lieutenant General Canlas Sr.
Republic of the Philippines, Department of National Defense, General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. General Orders Number 1554, published on 24 October 2022. Compulsory retirement pursuant to Sections 5A and 17 of Presidential Decree Number 1638 as amended and in consonance with Presidential Administrative Order Number 150, dated 4 January 1990, Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas, Senior, Officer -10055, Philippine Air Force, having completed 37 years, 8 months, and 19 days of active military service in the Armed Forces of the Philippines from 1 April 1985 to 19 December 2022, is compulsorily retired in the rank of Lieutenant General with retirement pay based on the salary grade of General, with FIP longevity pay effective 20 December 2022 by order of the Secretary of National Defense, Bartolome Vicente Orpilio Bacaro, Lieutenant General Philippine Army Chief of Staff, Official Bernardo R. Fortes Jr., Colonel Philippine Army, Master in National Security Administration, the Adjutant General.
Thank you, sir.
We shall now witness the handover of unit standards to Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas, Senior PAF.
May we request our honoree to proceed in front for the presentation.
Following are the unit standards to be presented to Lieutenant General Canlas Sr., where he served as a commander during his military career.
May we call on Brigadier General Rocky J. Binag, PAF, Wing Commander, Tactical Operations Wing, Northern Luzon, to present the unit standard. Thank you, sir. May we call on Colonel Peter Paul D. Domingo, Philippine Army General Staff Corps, Commander, AFP Procurement Service, to present the unit standard. Thank you, sir.
Next is Major General Ramon J. Guiyang, PAF, the Commander, Air Force Reserve Command, to present the Air Force Reserve Command Unit Standard. Thank you, sir.
May we call on Major General Agustin S. Malinit, PAF, Commander, Air Defense Command, to present the unit standard. Thank you, sir.
May we now request the newly appointed Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Major General Pareño, PAF, to present the Philippine Air Force flag and the personal flag. Thank you, sir.
To the newly appointed Commanding General PAF, you may now be seated, sir. We shall now proceed to the presentation of plaques, command memento, and Philippine flag to our honoree.
May we request Lieutenant General Bartolome Vicente Bacaro, Philippine Army, the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, to proceed in front for the presentation of plaques.
First to be presented is the command plaque. Command plaque is hereby presented to Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr., Officer-10055 Philippine Air Force, in grateful acknowledgement of his eminently meritorious and valuable service rendered as the 38th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force.
Next to be presented is the Plaque of Honorable Service. Plaque of Honorable Service is presented to Lieutenant General Connor Anthony David Canlas Sr., Officer-10055 PAF, in recognition of his 37 years, 8 months, and 19 days of faithful and honorable service rendered to the Armed Forces of the Philippines from 01 April 1985 to 20 December 2022.
Next to be presented is the Pagpupugay sa Kawal Pilipino plaque.
Next to be presented is a plaque of appreciation to Mrs. Mary Grace Palanca Canlas.
Plaque of appreciation is presented to Mrs. Mary Grace Palanca Canlas in grateful appreciation of her unselfish, faithful, and devoted support to her husband's lasting contribution and dedicated service to the AFP and to our nation.
Next to be presented is the replica check. The replica check represents the honorees earned and accumulated leave balances during his entire military career. Thank you, Lieutenant General Bacaro and Mrs. Canlas. You may now take your seats.
To present the command memento to our honoree, may request the newly appointed Commanding General PAF, Major General Pareño, sir.
The command memento represents all the ranks, trainings, awards, and decorations that Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. has achieved and accomplished during his entire military service. To the newly appointed Commanding General Philippine Air Force, sir, you may now take your seat. Thank you.
At this juncture, may we request the presiding officer, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., to present the Philippine flag to Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. Thank you, sirs. You may now be seated.
At this point, may we request Colonel Sheila Grace E. Vicente, PAF MNSA, the Air Force Adjutant, to read the Order of Incorporation to the Reserve Force of Lieutenant General Canlas Sr., PAF retired.
Armed Forces of the Philippines Headquarters, Philippine Air Force, Colonel Jesus Villamor Air Base, Pasay City. Special Orders number 576 published on 05 December 2022. Incorporation. Lieutenant General Connor Anthony David Canlas Sr., Officer-10055 Philippine Air Force, is incorporated into the Reserve Force, Philippine Air Force, Armed Forces of the Philippines effective 20 December 2022. He will be assigned at 1st Air Force Wing Reserve and further be placed in the Standby Reserve with Mobilization Center at 1st Air Reserve Center, Colonel Jesus Villamor Air Base, Pasay City, by command of Lieutenant General Canlas Sr., Fabian N. Pedregosa, Brigadier General, Philippine Air Force, Acting Chief of Air Staff, Official Sheila Grace E. Vicente, Colonel, Philippine Air Force, MNSA, Air Force Adjutant.
Ma'am.
May we request Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr., PAF retired, to please proceed in front. Likewise, may we request Lieutenant General Bartolome Vicente Bacaro, Philippine Army, Chief of Staff AFP, to administer the oath.
Magyaring itaas ang iyong kanang kamay at sumunod sa akin. Ako si, banggitin ninyong pangalan.
Ako si Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas, Philippine Air Force, retired,
Na hinirang at inalaga sa katungkulang bilang, banggitin ang iyong katungkulan.
na hinirang at itinalaga sa katungkulang bilang reservist ng Philippine Air Force,
Ay taimtim na nanunumpa. Natutuparin ko ng buong husay at katapatan.
Natutuparin ko ng buong husay at katapatan.
Sa abot ng aking kakayahan.
Sa abot ng aking kakayahan.
Ang mga tungkulin ng aking kasalukuyang katungkulan.
Mga tungkulin ng aking kasalukuyang katungkulan.
At ng iba pang pagkaraan nito.
At ng iba pang pagkaraan nito.
Ay gagampanan ko sa ilalim ng Republika ng Pilipinas.
Ay gagampanan ko sa ilalim ng Republika ng Pilipinas.
Ay tataguyod at ipagtatanggol ang konstitusyon ng ating bayan.
Na itataguyod at ipagtatanggol ang konstitusyon ng ating bayan.
Na tunay at mananalig.
Na tunay na mananalig
At tatalima ako rito.
at tatalima ako rito.
Na susundin ang mga batas.
Na susundin ang mga batas,
Mga kautosang legal.
mga kautosang legal
At mga tungkuling pinaiiral.
at mga tungkuling pinaiiral
Ng mga sadyang itinakda na may kapangyarihan.
na mga sadyang itinakda ng may kapangyarihan
Ng Republika ng Pilipinas.
ng Republika ng Pilipinas.
At kusa akong babalikatin ang pananagutang ito.
At kusa kong babalikatin ang pananagutang ito
Nang walang anumang pasubali o hangaring umiwas.
nang walang anumang pasubali o hangaring umiwas.
Kasiyan nawa ako ng Diyos.
Kasiyahan nawa ako ng Diyos.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sirs. At this point, Lieutenant General Bacaro will present the Reservist Military Identification Card of Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. Thank you, sirs. You may now be seated.
May we now request Lieutenant General Connor Anthony David Canlas Sr., PAF retired, to deliver his valedictory speech and subsequently submit his tour of duty report.
Let me first greet our presiding officer, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines. The newly appointed Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Major General Stephen Pareño and Lady Mrs. Agnes. And of course, the members of his family. The officer in charge, Department of National Defense, Senior Undersecretary Jose Faustino Jr., Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Bartolome Vicente Bacaro and Lady Mrs. Soledad, the Vice Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Major General Art Cordura and Lady Mrs. Paula, Commandant Philippine Coast Guard Admiral Artemio Abu, Commanding General Philippine Army, Lieutenant General Romeo Browner Jr. and Lady Mrs. Melody, Flag Officer in Command, Philippine Navy, Rear Admiral Toribio Adasi Jr., the Deputy Chief for Administration, Philippine National Police, representing Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr., Chief PNP, Police Lieutenant General Rodel Sermonia, the former Commanding Generals, Philippine Air Force, and their ladies, sirs and ma'am, please stand to be recognized. Thank you, sir, for coming. Thank you, ma'am. The guests from the Malacanang Palace, guests from the General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Mayor of Pasay, Mayor Imelda Emi Calixto Rubiano, the Barangay Captain of Pasay, Barangay Captain Ruth Cortez, members of the Foreign Armed Forces Attaché Corps, please stand to be recognized. The members of PMA Macatao class of 1989 and their ladies, please stand to be recognized. The Philippine Air Force Flying School class of 1993 Alpha and their ladies, please stand to be recognized. My CGSC class of 2010, class 53, please stand to be recognized. The men and women of the Philippine Air Force, headed by the Acting Chief of Air Staff, Brigadier General Fabian Pedregosa and Mrs. Vicky. Members of the Philippine Air Force Enlisted Personnel Ladies Central Club, members of the Philippine Air Force Officers Ladies Club, other guests joining us virtually through Facebook Live, my wife, Grace, and children Josh, Adi, and Kobe, and members of our family, Captain Juni Canlas, Mr. Owen Canlas, and their families, please stand to be recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. The days are long and the years grind on. But on this fateful day, I am inclined to say that although the journey home was far, the realization that I have almost reached my destination dawned on me when I was only a few steps away from the door. This morning, I'm knocking at that door as I put behind me 37 years, almost 38 years of faithful service to the nation. The deed is done, and I am proud to say that everything up to this point, I did it with all my energy, will, and conviction. I am thankful to our Heavenly Father for all the strength that enabled us to transform our beloved Air Force. The past year was laden with many firsts that solidified the Philippine Air Force as an agile and dependable organization. We had the arrival of 4 T-129 attack helicopters, which are the first heavily armed all-weather attack helicopters. Also, one of the historic firsts is the upgrade on our ground-based air defense systems with the arrival of 2 batteries of Spider air defense systems in its accompanying simulator training center. Our responsiveness in calamities, natural disasters, and troop transport were further bolstered through the arrival of 2 C-295 aircraft and 1 Beechcraft Hawker 800 XP for effective command and control. In training and mutual cooperation, we also had unprecedented bilateral engagements with our partner nations, such as our first ever participation in the Pitch Black exercise in Australia and their donation of a close air support part task trainer. We also flew side by side with the Republic of Korea Air Force, Black Eagles, during their first ever air show here in the Philippines. Moreover, our cordial relations and constant engagement with Japan allowed for the very first goodwill visit and joint air defense training exercise with their fighter aircraft and joint HADR exercise dubbed as Doshin Bayanihan with the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. Our digital agenda has seen enormous changes with the addition of numerous systems to further streamline our operational capability. This served as evident in our processes in the cyber environment to enhance ease of access and diligently monitor all related activities such as vehicle registration, status of firearms and ammunition, status of discipline, law and order, financial processes, procurement, flight operations, and health services. We also had monumental gains in performing our mandated task with commitment, ability, direction, and care by being the only recipient in the AFP who earned the Outstanding Accounting Office for calendar year 2021. With the PAF truly an organization adaptable to the times, we are the sole recipient of the Gender Mainstreaming Award among AFP major services to institutionalize GAD programs of the Department of National Defense. Our morale and welfare programs were also the first of its kind, with the conduct of the Lipad PAF concert, Battle of the Bands, PAF Night featuring the Lacans and Lacambinis of the Philippine Air Force, and the creation of the song Himpapawid to showcase the capability of the Philippine Air Force. There are plenty more achievements that we have done through our airmen and airwomen's shared dedication to fulfilling our mission and vision. Moreover, the Philippine Air Force continues to be the game changers which brought success to focused military operations and prevent, if not reduce, casualties for our ground troops. I am very proud to have served with you all. This would not have been possible without the tireless efforts of the valiant officers, enlisted personnel, and civilian human resource who have been the constant wind beneath the wings of the Philippine Air Force. I am truly grateful because you made the Command Trust Lipad PAF a reality. Our Air Force has indeed soared higher than ever before. It is truly an honor and a distinct privilege to serve in this capacity as the 38th Commanding General. God has continuously put me at the right place and at the right time. No matter the difficulties and challenges that we have faced, He sets me on the right path because I have always acted in the best interest of the Philippine Air Force in mind. As perfectly described in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, let us not lose heart in doing good, for in due time we will reap if we do not grow weary. But the strength to carry on, to fight the good fight, was all due to the support and encouragement of numerous personalities. First, my flight instructors, my former bosses, my mentors, my close friends, and my loved ones. I may not be able to mention all your names, but you can be sure that I feel utterly grateful. May God bless all of you more, and I would like also to thank former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte for appointing me as Commanding General, and of course, the present Commander-in-Chief, the President of the Philippines, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., sir, for the steadfast support that the Philippine Air Force has continually received. Since day one of your assumption, sir, you attended the 75th founding anniversary of the Philippine Air Force. He also made sure to attend the arrival, turnover, and blessing of our 295s, the GBADs, and the 2129s, even accommodating them at the Malacanang grounds. Thank you very much, sir. And of course, today's ceremony, I'm really honored. Maraming salamat, sir, at pinakita mo ang pagmamahal mo sa kasundaluhan, lalo na sa Philippine Air Force at Armed Forces of the Philippines. But of course, what kept me standing on my feet are the pillars of my life. My wife, Grace, my children, Hazel, Josh, Addie, and Kobe, to include my granddaughters, Mia and Ava. Of course, my mom, my siblings, and my dad in heaven. No matter how hard it gets, they never fail to put a smile on my face or lighten up my mood. They are the sunshine on my cloudy days and the moonlight during my gloomy nights. I am excited for our future adventures together. Most important of all, none of this would be possible without the blessing of our Almighty Father, whom we have fostered our faith in everything that we do, all in His mighty name. Finally, this is it. Graduate na po ako. As I end, I will forever cherish my military service, the friends that have come and gone, those who went ahead to the great beyond, and those who have shared this journey with me. Maraming salamat sa inyo. The Philippine Air Force is an organization with solid foundations, and my fervent wish is that you will make it grow even better than where I left it. With that said, I leave it to the new Commanding General, Major General Stephen P. Pareño, Philippine Air Force, and the entirety of the PAF to carry on what we have preciously built and safeguard our citizens as the guardians of our precious skies and the bearers of hope for the nation. Kayo ang magpapatuloy sa paglipad ng hukbong himpapawid. I hope to serve together with you in some other capacity. Good afternoon to everyone, and to God be all the glory. Maraming salamat po.
May we now request everyone to direct your attention on screen for an AVP on Lipad PAF's accomplishments during the stint of Lieutenant General Canlas Sr.
Lipad PAF. For over a year, these words resounded with the roars of our aircraft engines, the thuds of marching feet, the echoes of voices, as well as the pulse and heartbeat of each airman of the Philippine Air Force. Lipad PAF bespeaks the reason for being of all airmen, and this is the battle cry by which Lieutenant General Colonel Anthony D. Canlas Sr., the 38th Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force, has led the men and women of the PAF under his leadership. The strength of an organization is the direct result of the strength of its leaders. Thus, the command strives to build a strong foundations of leadership and management across all levels of the organization. By conducting trainings and seminars to develop competent and effective officers, enlisted personnel, civilian human resource, as well as reservists, individual and unit activities enhance competencies and build exceptional leader-follower dynamics, thus making solid teams, with members always at the top of their game. Good governance programs that promoted safety, transparency, and accountability were pursued. Significantly, Philippine Air Force Accounting Center was hailed as one of the outstanding accounting offices for our accuracy, timeliness, and quality of financial statements and reports, and is notably the only one adjudged from the Armed Forces of the Philippines. By leveraging stakeholder engagements, we found opportunities for involvement and leadership in local and foreign community initiatives, and allowed us to benefit from the best practices and expertise of renowned external stakeholder leaders. Infrastructure is a vital key in the country's security efforts. Thus, efforts were pursued to further enhance bases and infrastructure necessary to support military operations. The Philippine Air Force strived to develop smart bases with disaster-resilient infrastructures that can help sustain operations at different conditions. Likewise, several projects were initiated and completed, a number of which were realized with our partners in the government. People are the most valuable assets of an organization. Along with our training partners, the Philippine Air Force strives to build not only basic knowledge and skills, but also advanced competencies and expertise in operations and other functional areas. As people's enhanced capabilities align with the advancement of organizational assets, this made the Philippine Air Force more than ready to support the AFP's focused military operations and respond well in times of disasters and calamities. Moreover, to ensure a wider base for expansion during national crisis, the Philippine Air Force enhanced its recruitment and training of reservists. Aside from technical skills, enhancement of values, ethos and faith were given premium. Family readiness support system and morale and welfare programs and services were also emphasized. For excellent and exemplary achievements in the deliberate institutionalization of gender-responsive programs, the Philippine Air Force earned the Gender Mainstreaming Award in the 2022 DND-wide GAD Awards. We held a concert for a cause to raise funds for the Philippine Air Force Welfare Fund and came up with activities to promote creativity and artistry of Philippine Air Force personnel. We also focused on improving our recreational facilities, and in line with this, it is our pride that the Villamor Air Base Golf Course made it to the top 25 golf courses in the Philippines. Various platforms, munitions, and equipment were acquired, thereby beefing up capabilities under the different Philippine Air Force Corps systems. On the ground, more vehicles and equipment were also procured to improve mobility and support capability. The Philippine Air Force likewise initiated more automation projects to fast-track or integrate various Philippine Air Force processes. To ensure more effective and efficient conduct of operations, as well as utilization of different assets, the command reviewed, revised, and developed appropriate doctrines, policies, and procedures. Unit best practices were documented and duly recognized. Further, through the CGPAF's professional reading list, the Philippine Air Force reading program was institutionalized. These KIPAD initiatives sufficiently enabled the Philippine Air Force to perform its mandated missions with commitment, ability, direction, and care. As we expanded our capability for territorial defense, we also intensified our support to internal security operations. We continued to be reliable force multipliers for our ground forces, as well as valuable game changers that significantly shifted tides against our enemies. In times of disasters and calamities, we fly as bearers of hope, bringing relief and aid whenever and wherever it is needed. On the ground, the Philippine Air Force contributed well in the efforts to end insurgency and terrorism by communicating government programs through different community engagements and initiatives, taking advantage of short-form content that have proven traction on social media. PAF in a Minute was launched to communicate our stories with a wider reach. As a continuing effort, we pushed for the advancement of the operationalization of the PAF Flight Plan portfolio of strategic initiatives to include the institutionalization of the safety management system. This year, We launched Flight Plan 2040, extending our transformation initiatives and breakthrough goals beyond 2028. As part of our efforts to fulfill the objectives of our flight plan and modernize our capabilities, we continuously engage in through best practices from our regional and international partners. Our participation in Pitch Black exercise in Australia enhanced the skills of our air battle managers. Our FA-50s proudly shared the same skies as they flew with the famed Black Eagles of Korea's Air Force during their first ever air show here in the Philippines. The mutual goodwill visits and exchanges between the Philippine Air Force and the Japan Air Self-Defense Force enhanced our HADR response capabilities and our air and ground operations. And the recent successful travel to Sweden enabled our leaders and planners to personally experience the exceptional flight capability of multi-role fighter aircraft, which is one among our projected capability upgrades. While doing all these, our efforts have been guided by the most divine hands as we strive to foster faith in God in everything that we do, thus keeping us rooted on the ground in spite of the heights of our achievements. All these accomplishments under Lipad PAF are evidence of how far and how high the Philippine Air Force has flown this year. But what we have reached today and the bright prospects of what it can be tomorrow are built in the legacies of a long line of commanding generals who have led the Philippine Air Force through the decades. As Lieutenant General Canlas bows down and joins this long line of former air chiefs, he leaves the Philippine Air Force a much stronger and better organization, well on its way towards being a credible and agile force, adaptable to modern warfare and responsive to national and regional security and development.
It has been a good and safe one-year flight. Naway magpatuloy ang matayog na paglipad ng PAF tungo sa isang mapayapa at maunlad na Pilipinas.
A round of applause for Lieutenant General Canlas Sr. and the entire Lipad PAF.
At this juncture, may we call on the Senior Undersecretary Officer in Charge, Department of National Defense, Honorable Jose C. Faustino, to introduce our presiding officer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos, Jr.
Thank you for your introduction, Senior Undersecretary Jose Faustino Jr. Please take your seats. The AFP Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Bartolome Baccaro, and the Major Service Commanders, outgoing Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force, Lieutenant General Connor Anthony Canlas Sr., the incoming Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force, Major General Stephen Pareño, Pasay City Mayor Imelda Calixto Rubiano, my fellow workers in government, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant day to you all. It is an honor for me to stand before you today as your Commander-in-Chief to preside over the Philippine Air Force change of command and retirement ceremony to commemorate the feats and triumphs of our outgoing Commanding General, Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr., and to witness the handover of command to our incoming Commanding General. On this occasion, we recognize the accomplishments of the Philippine Air Force under the leadership of Lieutenant General Canlas. We also extend our gratitude to him for establishing a more dependable and capable Air Force that protects now our airspace. Lieutenant General Canlas, allow me to extend my gratitude, my congratulations on your successful command as the 38th Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force. During your tour of duty, the country saw a Philippine Air Force that is credible and responsive, made possible through intensive modernization efforts, improvement of our integrated air defense system, regular conduct of aerial intelligence and reconnaissance missions, conduct of humanitarian and assistance and disaster response, and the launching of Flight Plan 2040. I am proud and I am grateful to you, along with the members of the Philippine Air Force and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, for your invaluable efforts to secure our people and our country. Lieutenant General Canlas, I hope that your service to the country over the past years has given you a sense of purpose and fulfillment as a soldier and as a Filipino. As you embark on a new journey, remain steadfast in your beliefs and pursue a path that empowers you. And finally, may you also spend more time with your friends, your family, who I am certain have longed for more of your time these past few decades. At this juncture, allow me to extend my heartfelt congratulations to our 39th Commanding General. I am confident that under your leadership, the Philippine Air Force will sustain its ongoing initiatives and achieve new heights in responsive service delivery for the country and for the people. Let me also laud the efforts of the valiant men and women of the Air Force for guarding the Philippine aerial domain, for assisting the delivery of basic services to Filipinos in close collaboration with other government agencies and even private stakeholders. I hope that, under the leadership of our newly appointed Commanding General, the Air Force will continue to strive for honor, for excellence as you fulfill your mandate to our country and to our people. Through your collective efforts, we will attain our goal of creating a world-class Air Force that keeps the peace and contributes to our national development and regional security. Be assured that this administration remains committed to the modernization of the Philippine Air Force and the entire armed forces of the Philippines. I therefore ask you to remain dedicated to your duties and to continue to work closely with this administration as we build a safe, secure, peaceful country for the benefit of all Filipinos. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang hukbong himpapawid at sandatahan lakas ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please remain standing for the singing of the Philippine Air Force hymn. Thank you very much, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., for gracing this momentous event. We are very honored with your presence.
May we request all our guests to be seated as we proceed to a photo session with the President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief, AFP, together with the principals on stage.
May we request the family of the outgoing Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, to please proceed on stage to join the photo session.
Next in the photo session will be the family of the newly appointed Commanding General, PAF.
Thank you, ma'am. And you may now proceed back to your seats. To the family of the newly appointed Commanding General, kindly proceed on stage. Thank you, ma'am. You may now proceed back to your seats.
May we now request everyone to please stand for a group photo session with the principals on stage.